Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Swampmaster. I was just recently down in Florida, paddleboarding with manatees, and I fell into a swamp, and I had my wallet on me, and my wallet absorbed a lot of the swamp, and I absorbed a lot of the swamp. And while drying out my various gift cards and cash and punchable frequent customer cards, I was imbued with some creative ideas for Swampmaster that I've taken back with me as inspiration. And today I think I want to create a manatee NPC character that will be able to, you'll be able to find them out in the swamp, and they're like a friendly entity that you can come upon, that you can talk to, and they can maybe be like a shop out in the woods and the swamp where you can buy helpful items that will help you on your journey, which is kind of getting more into like an RPG type game, but I think I can work that into this adventure module somehow. Maybe power-ups or healing or, I don't know, something like that. Like where you'd go in Zelda to get bombs and arrows and that sort of thing. I've also been working a lot down here on the mountainous areas. So I've added this area you can get to down here. As we go through the mountains, you'll be able to come out to these areas where there's a beach, and this is kind of the edge of the world map down here at the bottom southeast corner. I feel like I just said the word corner really weird. This will go up here. You can find this house. This might have some sort of magician or some kind of, I don't know, a mountain witch or something like that. Something fun like that. So one issue I'm running into that I would like to find a solution to is the way the warping is set up on this with collision tiles. So these cave entrances here, you can set those to 3, which is a warp tile, and then it knows that if you cross over it, it's going to warp to another screen based on what you set up in the screen info. Problem with that is you can't really have more than one warp tile on a screen if you want it to go to a different screen, because you can only set the warp out screen here and the warp in screen here. So if they're going in and out of these tunnel entrances, these both have to go to the same other screen, and then they warp into this on the same screen. There might be a way to hijack that using assembly code. In fact, I'm sure there is, and NES Maker does let you get into the assembly code, which, if you're not familiar, it's a very archaic programming language, probably before even C was a thing, where it's basically a step above machine code. Machine code is ones and zeros, and then assembly code is some kind of line-by-line instructions that basically tell it what to do. But even if you're familiar with like Python, like I know Python and JavaScript pretty well, those are not really applicable. It's a totally different language, and it's not very intuitive. But NES Maker does give you access to all that. If you come up here to project settings, and then you go into script settings, these are all the scripts that run behind the scenes to make your game work. And if you scroll down, let's see if we can find a good one here. Okay. Let's try this and see how this looks. This is player hurt health, so this handles the player health. You can click edit, and this is VS Code I'm running this in. And I don't know if I can even really explain very well what this is doing, but you can see in assembly they have these like 3-letter instructions that go to the program to tell it what to do. So you're like loading up a variable, and then you're a lot of the time you're just incrementing or decreasing that variable by 1 or 2 at a time. And I don't know, assembly is weird and interesting, but there's got to be some way in the scripts somewhere where it handles that warping in and out of screens. I don't know where that is. I'm a little afraid to tinker around in there because I feel like I'm going to break stuff, so always back up your games in case you break something, which I've done multiple times. I have used the assembly code a bit for making the weapons work, making my stick work, and then I'm hoping that I can create different weapons in there that you can cycle through, or that you can collect throughout the game to get like weapon upgrades. So the initial sword will deal 1 damage, you know, the next one up will deal 2, or you could get like it's not going to be a master sword, but the master sword equivalent that'll do 3 damage, and then you can progress through the harder dungeons like that. Let's pop open the pixel editor, and we'll see about creating our manatee NPC. I'm going to find a monster object grid here that I can use that maybe is specifically for NPCs. Yep, got this here. So these are some existing NPC characters that I have. There's kind of just this regular dude here. This guy is kind of a knight with a shield, with kind of a stupid haircut, but yeah, he's a knight. He'll be fine. I got a book here. I want to use these for lore, so if you go around, you can find these books, and they tell you stuff about, you know, the background of the game, and maybe give you ideas on where you can find secret items and stuff like that. I've got the dog that gives you the stick in the beginning, and this is like a child NPC. So let's see if we can't draw a manatee in here. This isn't really the color palette I want. This might be useful here. Are manatees blue? I should know. I just saw it. I just saw a whole bunch of them in the swamp. Let's try this. I think I'm gonna make the base color this blue here. I'm still not sold on this blue. I am not a graphical artist by any means. I don't think I could ever make 16-bit art, but I can make 8-bit art. 16 is going to be too many pixels for me. But at this base level, this is not so bad. Alright, how do we make a manatee head? I don't like this color palette. I need to use something different here. Why don't we switch to the marsh this isn't going to work. Okay, it's set on background palette. So up here, I need to change that to monster palette. And we'll use this one here, number 3, so that it's not defaulting to the player colors. And then what I can do is come down here, and this is just the default name, Monster Palette 12. Let's change that to... Let's just make it like Swamp NPC. That'll work. Let's do that. Okay. And then we just need to figure out what colors we're going to make our manatee. So black is going to be our background color. That's going to be transparent. And I would kind of like to have a black border around my manatee. So if this is the border color here, then that's also going to be black, which is going to make this difficult to draw. How does that make sense? That's confusing. Okay. Okay, let's set the background color here to gray, and then I'm going to set this to black. Good, so I can draw an outline of the manatee with that, and then let's get him kind of a appropriate manatee color. You know what? I need to just Google what manatees look like. Oh, they're gray. I don't know why that's so difficult for me to picture mentally. Like, I literally was just with manatees. They're gray. Okay, they're like big gray seal-looking dog pups. And they're round. Okay. So let's have... extremely round. There. This is our image we're going to emulate into 8-bit. So I just got to take all this complexity of nature and life and condense it down into an extremely small amount of pixels. I'm going to try and keep it as round as possible because that's just like comically adorable. Okay, my screen got messed up here. Let's try adding a tab and then switching back. Nope. Let's try clicking off of that and then going back. Okay, that's odd. It's not supposed to do that. Let's close these and reopen and see if that shifts back to the right dimensions. There we go. Okay. And switching back to that monster palette I made. Swamp NPC. And manatees are gray. I don't really want to do exactly gray. This is a good color. Let's do this. Okay, and maybe not white. Let's give them an accent color. That might work. Let's try this. So let's draw the manatee's head. So he's kind of got like a droopy kind of mouth. And just go like this. Beep. Oh. Beep. Beep. That's not bad. Or is it better like, hello, I'm a manatee. That's not bad. Go. Yeah, he's kind of got that snout, right? That's good. And make him kind of a round dude. Woo. And boop. Too much. And he's got like little flippers, right? It's not supposed to look like boobs. It's supposed to look like manatee flippers. Maybe they need to be further down. Or like come out to the side. That's just like side boobs. Okay. Flipper? That's not a good flipper. Alright. Remember when I said I could do 8-bit art? And I was lying? This is now an excellent demonstration of me not being able to do 8-bit art. The funny thing is that like a lot of the time with art like this in old games, it ends up not looking the way that the artist intended, I think, and people just have their own interpretation of what it's supposed to look like the rocks in Zelda that look like snails, and so then they become snail rocks. And it's almost its own kind of unique, cool fantasy thing that happened accidentally. That's not terrible. I'm still not thrilled about that. He's got to have a tail. How do you even know this is a manatee without it having a tail? Okay. He's also not round enough. One thing that's handy in this graphic editor is that if you cut and you want to paste into like the very top of one of these boxes, you can do Control-Shift paste. Like here, if I do, like if I like copy this and I want it to paste into the top left corner, you can do Control-Shift paste and then it pastes up there. Otherwise, if you paste, it's going to paste where your cursor is. Look, I have an army of manatees now. This don't look terrible. I think maybe I need to go like horizontal with him a little bit. Not me go horizontal with the manatee, but have the manatee go horizontal. You know what, I could even have, I should have multiple frames of the manatee so you can kind of like bob up and down in the water. That would be good. Okay, what if I move this up a little bit to the top of the frame here? So he's up top, and then I can have him like shift up and down a little bit so that he's bobbing up and down in the water, being a helpful, friendly manatee. And let's soften the edges here a little bit. That's good. And then we'll take this down. Ooh, this is much better. Okay. So he's got his manatee body, and then I think we can just give him a little flipper. Ooh. Kinda. That's not terrible. That's not too terrible. I want to go a little bit thicker there. And down like that. Ah! It resembles a sea creature of sorts, right? This is not awful. Good. Okay, it's a manatee. Now let's give him some color accents. We don't want him to be the same color as the background. And let's fill this in here. I'm going to use the square tool to save myself literally seconds of work by not having to do each pixel one at a time. There is a flood fill tool, but it doesn't really behave the way you would expect it. It's not like paint. It kind of like will fill in a quadrant in the back. Okay, here's our manatee. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Cool. I like it. Now, I kind of accidentally drew up the entire frame, and what I had intended to do was to make him bob up and down, and in order to do that, I would need to have saved one line of pixels here. Maybe I can just crop this down a little bit. I feel like I just gave him a hunchback. If I make this the background here, okay, that still looks pretty good, right? And then we'll do this, paste up here, so yeah. So I can have this be his animation, and he'll like kind of bob up and down in the water, and then maybe I'll just make his tail move a little bit. So we'll just bring this in here. Boop. Yeah. Boop, boop, boop. Or maybe like this. Yeah. Good. So it's a pretty simple animation, but it'll give the character some life, and, you know, he'll be an excited little manatee that is happy to speak with you and provide you with items, because what else would manatees do out in the middle of the woods except serve as traveling companions who, for whatever reason, own items that they're willing to sell to you at reasonable prices, assuming that they have some sort of currency that they use that you can also obtain to purchase said goods and services. Okay. So, now that we have our manatee graphics, using the term graphics loosely, we're going to go in and create the actual NPC itself. So for that, we want to go to our monsters. It uses monsters the same as NPCs in here. They're not in a separate section. So like here's my dog NPC. I'm going to create a new one from scratch. Okay, so here's our manatee NPC, hitting save, and we want to set his color palette to swamp NPC, which is what we set up previously in the pixel editor. Swamp NPC, and we need to change this tile to the appropriate graphic bank we were working on. Here's our manatee. Great. So let's set this to, let's see, height 2 by 2. Here's frame 1 and frame count 2. And select our other one. There he is. Look how excited he is. Okay, we need to make sure these are all set to use this appropriate color palette here. Select frame 1. These all look good. For whatever reason, it's still showing that in the old color palette. Let's save and go back. There it is. Hooray! Okay. And we're going to need to change his animation speed so that he's not quite so excited. Although I am excited to have this manatee coming out so well already. I am literally, not literally, the opposite of literally, wagging my tail, my manatee tail, because I don't have a manatee. Okay. Animation speed 11. We'll try that and see how that is. Let's set a bounding box for him. And what we want ideally is for you to be able to go up to the manatee and just hit your probably B button on your controller, and that'll open a dialog box with him. There is functionality built into NES Maker for shops. I haven't found that in the documentation yet, but I have seen it in the program in NES Maker itself. There's a way to do it, and I gotta look into figuring that out. That's going to be kind of an advanced topic that we'll get into eventually. Here, to make this an NPC, we're going to go into Object Details, go into Details, click NPC. That's pretty much it. That lets it know that it's functioning as something that's not going to hurt the player, so it's not going to do that. It's not going to call that monster hurt script or player hurt script. You're not engaging with this in a way that it would invoke any of the combat systems. And I don't think I'm going to have this guy move, so I don't really need to mess with like solid object reaction or edge object reaction, because he's just going to be stationary. This is like if they go up against the edge of the screen, or if they collide with the player, or well, maybe not collide with the player, but if they hit a collision tile that is set to 1 to be a solid object, what they do once they hit that. Yeah, basically I just need the animation to play, and that'll work. I'm going to cut the video here, and we'll look next time at getting these placed on the map and maybe getting some dialog boxes set up to pop up when the player interacts with them. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Stay tuned and subscribe and click likes and all those YouTube things that everybody likes to do that are good for my channel, and I'll keep making videos, and tune back in. Alright, see you later.